Hello Trekkies. Today we're going to talk about the 14th episode of Star Trek Discovery, The War Without, The War Within. Well, that was a really good damn episode, I have to say. I rarely say this about Star Trek Discovery, but this was a really good episode. There was quite a few bits and pieces that I really enjoyed, and I really felt like, wow, actually we're going to go back to this classic Trek feeling, and it felt like really an episode from Next Generation or from DS9 or from Voyager or from the other iterations of the franchise. And I don't know if any of you noticed that, but the lighting was a bit different as well in this show. Everything was more bright, it felt more hopeful in a way. You know how they show the scenes between Tyler and Michael, the light, how they actually projected to their face, it was just so hopeful. That's what I felt, hope in this episode, and it was really interesting to get this feeling after this long ride of being in the dark and getting out from the dark, and there's no one knows what's going on really, but you know, everyone talks about it. And we went into the mirror universe, and the mirror universe was kind of dark, and what happened before in the prime universe was kind of dark. Finally we're getting some light in this franchise, in this series, and I'm really glad we got to notice this little touch in this episode. So we got to get Tyler back on Discovery, and it's still kind of interesting to think about how he's dealing with his personality, himself, because he basically been transferred from a Klingon to a human, and he being altered, his personality being altered as well. It's really interesting to see this journey, so it's really interesting to see this struggle in the character, and how he actually seeks help from others, how he needs to get help from others, and how he has a disgusted feeling of himself, what he did before. It was really interesting and touching how Saru said to Tyler, like, hey, I'm not going to have you full access to the ship, but I'm not going to get your freedom away either. So it was really cool to have this sort of human touch, and you know, you're committed crimes before, but that wasn't you, that was Vok, not Ash Tyler, not the person who you are at the moment. And we don't know who you are at the moment, so you'd rather not go to the armory and get some guns if you know what I mean. And obviously him meeting Burnham as well was a really interesting scene, and it was a really touching scene actually, seeing all the balance between the two characters, and how Burnham got into a really difficult position to actually start thinking, should I accept him or shouldn't I accept him? Because the guy who she fell in love with didn't exist anymore, and that person actually wanted to kill her. So you know, it's a bit difficult, it's a bit rough, although Tyler needs her guidance to the full recovery. It's gonna be there's gonna be some interesting plot for this romance, let's say, in the next episode. I really enjoy the character moments. That's one of the beauty of Star Trek, and I really enjoy every single character moment. There was one really adorable moment with Tyler in the mess hall, where he actually went into the mess hall. Everyone, you know, started to just look at him, and they stopped talking, and he sat down one of the empty desks, and Tilly just got to herself, and she actually went to Tyler like, hey, I'm here for you. And Tilly is just such an adorable character. She really wants to make friends with everyone, so it's so cool to see her. And the same way how she treated Burnham at the really beginning, because Burnham was basically an outsider, everyone looked down at her. Basically the situation got to the same point when everyone looked at Tyler the same way they looked at Burnham at the really beginning. And who was the first person who actually went to Burnham? Tilly. So this personal touch from Tilly was really interesting, and soon everyone started to realize, if Tilly did this, why we don't do this? I mean, she trusts this guy, she really wants to make this guy feel home, and the much as the Discovery crew accepted Burnham, it's much easier for them to actually accept Tyler back into the group. So it was really interesting and in a heartfelt moment to actually see this little balance between the characters and going through Tyler's journey as well. Obviously we have to talk about Emperor Georgiou as well, who stalked in the ship, and who actually gave a couple of information how to defeat the Klingons. But that scene at the really end when she actually impersonated herself as Captain Philippa Georgiou, that was just wow, what the hell. Honestly, I was so surprised. I didn't expect this happening in Star Trek Discovery. She started to play up as Captain Georgiou, and she did a really good job. Actually, I was really convinced, like, hang on, that's not her. So the next episode regarding to her character and the balance between the crew and Emperor Giorgio, it will be really interesting. So overall, it was a really good episode. I'm sure I didn't touch a lot of things, but lack of time and lack of sleep and a bit of a tiredness, and gosh, I don't even know where to start and how to finish. I'm pretty sure the Trek gang will assemble tomorrow, and they're gonna have a really interesting breakdown of the episode. From my side, I really enjoyed this episode. I think it was the most heartfelt and most Star Trek-y episode during the season, during this first season. And finally, I'm getting the sense that discovering going to the light. I said that a couple of times in the Starfleet Boy podcast, that I feel Star Trek Discovery started out as a dark, gritty, messing with us sort of series, but then slowly during the first season is going to go to that point when we find ourselves at the end of the tunnel, and it will be actually light at the other end. That we will find ourselves in the situation where we can say, hey, this is the Prime Universe, and this is the one that we so much love, and this is the one that we so much fell in love with. Kind of bummer next episode gonna be the last episode from season 1. It's finally getting better and it's getting hopeful again, and it's getting close to the end, so interesting bits, isn't it? So as I said, there's gonna be a really interesting conversation tomorrow by the Starfleet Boy podcast. They're going to gather together and they're going to talk about this episode in much more depth and much more detail. So I would totally recommend to everyone to actually go ahead tomorrow and watch that podcast and watch the previous discussions as well. Sometimes it goes a bit long, but that's when you get a few Trekkies around, you just can't shut them down because we just talk. Let me know in the comment section below how much you like this episode, what was your favorite or least favorite moment, or what you think about, are we getting to the light, are we getting to the Prime Universe, or are we just not gonna get anything like that because, Discovery is just Discovery and we don't like it, or we actually love it. So please let me know in the comment section below what do you think about this episode. And also thank you very much for watching. As always, please don't forget to like and share the video, and don't forget to subscribe to receive all the geekiness every week. And until next time, live long and prosper.